Also, like if you are giving that same repeat, dropping the ball constantly, right? And if you on the other side and you the agent that's representing the buyer, like man, that agent really drops the ball. They suck to work with. They might not actually want to go over there and work with you. So it may be actually you again. I mean, we keep going back to this. It's looking in the mirror of understanding like what can you do first instead of pointing fingers at everybody else, putting a blanket across the board and not taking ownership in what you do.
Welcome to the Leading Lane podcast for real estate pros by real estate pros with your hosts, Ashley Frederick and Stephen Birch. If you're looking for an honest, authentic, and raw perspective, you found it.
Yeah, differences in the details.
Yeah. Yep. I'm down for it. Start it out.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the Leading Lane podcast. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about the differences in the details. And I think that there's so many different areas of real estate where details matter, right? Whether you're the listing agent in your listing descriptions, what you're doing for marketing, if you're a buyer's agent, what you're doing for your buyer, how you interact with your clients, but also like everyone's market. So I think it's funny that everyone's trying to compare markets right now, and what might be happening in one market is different than another, but people are using it like as blanket statements. So I definitely think differences in the details. Stephen, what are you seeing most things in your market as far as like details that aren't the same between people?
Well, I think the big thing is it's understanding that, when we talk about the market and we talk about numbers can be manipulated in any way, shape, or form to benefit whatever the narrative is, right? So in our market, again, we're next to a military base, and so therefore when they PCS out, so they're getting orders to go to another duty station, I hear agents always say, well, it's PCS season, or it's not PCS season. Like there's not a season, there's not a written season of when the service members come down on orders. Like if we had seasons and we had it like clockwork, like we would know then when war would happen and what everything, like we don't have a crystal ball. That's not how that works. So I think that people, hear these little excuses or these reasonings or these fearful tactics that are being put out there and gravitating and holding on to it to be able to allow them to take an excuse that makes it a-okay why they're not producing, which you're blaming everything else and everything or everyone else around you and not taking ownership on what you're doing. I don't know if that's the direction you were going. That's where I went.
No, I mean, it's definitely like, it is like a weird market right now. Like it's so hard. And it's, the famous question of like, how's the market? And then people will say it's great or it's not great or whatever. But for like our market, it really is dependent on your price point. So if you're in a certain price point, like under 300, it's a great market for a seller. If you're, in a price point that's like over 400, not the best market for a seller. Like they're just not moving. So I think that people forget that it's not one lump sum. We live in a medical community. So sometimes some people will say that too, like when like the candidates come in, it's like June and July. So everyone expects that's when it's busy. But like there are thousands of other people in this town of 20,000 that don't work for the medical complex that have other reasons that they want to change. So I think that that's a good point. But I think that, like details and the actual experience of a real estate transaction matter. So people might not matter or remember like the details of the transaction itself or, writing the offer or whatnot, but they remember things about whether you anticipated the questions that they were going to ask before they were asked. They remember if you showed up to the inspection, if you were there for the final walkthrough. Like I have a booklet that I give everyone at closing. Like those are the types of things that make people remember you more than just, like we talk about it, but there's lots of agents that are non-local and they don't even show up always for a showing, and then you never see them again. Like they never hear from them. And so really like that's when I think it's funny when I get a listing like 3 years later and I see that I like to see who they bought it from, and it's someone I've never heard of. Well, I can guarantee you that agent like was never in touch with them before. So that detail part of it is what could be triggering your next transaction because of how you took care of someone 3 years ago.
We have a new agent that just joined our company, and she actually has a buyer right off the bat, and met with them last night. And so we're talking and going through everything. And I asked our new agent after the buyer left, like, what did you take away from that? And she's like, you you just connected with her. Like, you answered questions, you made her feel heard, you made her feel comfortable. Like, you didn't force a contract right in front of her face. Like, you were easygoing. And really, the attention to detail, the difference in the detail is how you make people feel. And then it's one step further, is what are you actually going to do about that? What is the next step, instead of just keeping it up there in your noggin? So this buyer happens to be pregnant. And so, like, I was going through and breaking it down with the new agent and saying, she hinted that it's going to be a girl. And she told me about her dog that's a lab. And she, like, all of these different details. And those were my notes. And an agent was taking notes on, she wanted a 3-bedroom and she wanted a 2-car garage, like all of those things. That's what she's after. The detail of making a lifetime client is about her and her life. And I think that really resonated with her. And it's not all transactional.
Yeah.
Buyers are coming out of the woodworks. I mean, people that never thought they could buy. Sellers are, there's one desirable area over by the lake. I think there's like 4 or 5 houses on this row that are all for sale. And that has never happened in my career whatsoever, because it's so sought after. It's wild.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I think I had a client one time and she was pregnant, and I think she kept on talking about like this craving for like Ruffles chips or something like that. That's like her whole entire pregnancy. So like in their closing basket, I had a bag of Ruffle chips, and like she talks about it to this day. She's like, I can't believe you put Ruffles chips in my closing bag. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just something as small as a bag of chips while she was pregnant. Like, that's what they remember. So I think that's what people forget, is it's not just transactional. Like, I mean, I care about my clients, so you do things differently. But I also think that it can like reveal your standards, right? So like, do you have to like repeatedly correct things? Do you have to repeatedly like get signatures because you like missed something, or you have to go back and do it again? Like, I have a seller in a transaction, and this buyer has done like 4 amendments in the last like 2 days because like they had errors in them, and like the seller's kind of like over it, right? So doesn't make that agent look so great. Like, I don't know what that buyer thinks of that agent, but again, and I tell my agents this too, like, it's a matter of slowing down. Like, we just have to slow down. I know we're all multitasking and trying to take care of numerous people at a time, but just trying to just read through it again. Like, let's not just type it up. And I'm guilty of it, right? But again, it's a matter of just trying to be more cognizant that those are the things that people remember. If you've made like repeated mistakes in your transactions, I sometimes think about that in an actual like offer situation. Let's say you have multiple offers and you get one offer, maybe it's like not as good as the other offer, but it's a cleanly written offer. And then you get an offer from someone else that you have to counter out like 15 mistakes, which that happened to me one time. In their offer, like, how do I really feel like the rest of the transaction is going to go if like we can't even get the offer through with that many errors? So again, like, that makes the seller question how good that other agent will be in the transaction. So I think that's where like people forget how those small details actually affect the whole entire transaction.
Also, like, if you are giving that same repeat, dropping the ball constantly, right? And if you, on the other side, and the agent that's representing the buyer, like, man, that agent really drops the ball, they suck to work with, they might not actually want to go over there and work with you. So it may be actually you again. I mean, we keep going back to this. It's looking in the mirror of understanding, like, what can you do first, instead of pointing fingers at everybody else, putting a blanket across the board and not taking ownership in what you do.
I just have to tell you right now. So I have this buyer that I'm working with. She's an older lady, and this is what's so cute. She's bringing me peppers right now. I can tell you that she has a brown bag of peppers. She's the sweetest little thing. But anyway, she hasn't bought a house yet, but every time I see her, she'll bring a bag of peppers for Ben.
See, right there. In the detail, you're gonna. I mean, it goes the other way too. Like, so how freaking amazing and perfect timing to be able to put that in perspective. So
But you know what I mean? Like, so like we should be doing the same thing. Like that's what I like, you know what I mean? Like I'll remember her forever because she brings me peppers in the most like
mhm.
random times. And we haven't looked at a showing because there's not a lot in her house because there's not a lot in her market, so she must have brought them. Anyway, super sweet. But the other point of that too is that like the details aren't always operational like that. So it's a matter of like just sending the text after closing of how's the first week gone, or a month in, do you need anything? Like, have you met the neighbors? Like those aren't operational. They're just like making you a good. And a lot of times someone will be like, oh yeah, like the washer's acting kind of funny. And then I'll be like, oh great, like here's our appliance guy or whatever, right? So it's that service just by a simple follow-up. And again, like they're gonna remember that after they moved in and their washer went out, like I had the right contact for him.
So then, even I'm still on the pepper lady. Like, if we look at this as a pop by, because that's legit what it is that she popped by your office with these peppers. And so then she didn't even talk to you, right? She didn't have to talk to you. And it still had that impact. So flip that around, and you don't know, you don't have transactions right now. Go to your garden, get some peppers or plant some peppers for the season and grow some so you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money, and go do pop buys to different people that you know, so you leave that type of lasting impression. You don't need to make anything crazy. You don't need to
Fancy
spend
schmancy.
a ton of money. Like, it is that simple of just being a good human and making sure that there's that connection and relationship with people.
I think one time I did like this pumpkin chocolate chip cookie, which is like not a common thing that you find. And I had it on my fall mailer. And I think like 7 different people were like, where has this been all of my life? Like, these are the best cookies ever. And you know what I mean? Like, again, like it's nothing to do with real estate, but they made them and like they connected with them. And so I think, again, like I've really tried to get away from when you look at, say, mailers, for example, when you look online, a lot of them are like geared towards like them sending you business or like, we want your referral or blah, blah, blah. And like that just doesn't do it for me anymore. Like I would rather that those add some type of value. So I mean, I do like still like the fall checklist type of things because a lot of people forget to do those types of things. But yeah, recipes are just like something that makes you more relatable to them.
So it doesn't have to be elaborate. Start small. It is in the details. But the thing here too is the consistency. It's just not one time you dotted one I and then you have a whole contract. That's not how that works. You have to make sure that you cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and continue to improve yourself and continue to compound. That's where the details then too also, you can't drop those details off and you can't miss those details. Even though that you have the momentum and production going, you still have to be able to do that basic type of work.
Well, and I think for me, like that really comes through in like listing previews because I ask like a boatload of questions in a listing preview. Like I just was at one yesterday and like asked specific questions about the house and they were like, never thought about that. Or I pointed out things like, hey, before we list, I would really, and I don't know if they're going to list with me, right? Like, I don't know if they're interviewing other ones, but still, I'm like, I would feel like before you were to put it on the market, you would really want to take care of this or do these types of things. And so I think that sellers really appreciate like someone actually telling me these things. And like when I left, she
Being
was like,
honest.
yeah, she's like, well, I think we found the perfect match for us and we can't wait to work with you. And again, it was like just being honest with them. And it's not about winning the listing, it's about helping them get to that next phase successfully. And if you can give them the details to make it that way, then I mean, more than likely you can get the business. It's same with, a listing when you're trying to win the listing, if you will. Like, what other details do you do for your clients that other people don't? Like, you have to point those out. You can't just assume that someone's going to work with you.
I did a listing presentation yesterday, and I was for sure that this person was going to go with the same agent that they always work with. And I did all my presentation, got everything together, put it all together, and went through it just like I would with somebody that I have never met before. And she was like, I've never experienced anything like this before. Like, I so appreciate you going through. I mean, I didn't read it word by word or page by page, but still went through it and made sure that those high levels of how we are different. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody sign so fast. Like, she was like, let's go, let's make it happen. So always constantly doing it. Yeah. Good tips for sure. I think that it's also slowing down. And I'm telling you that for myself too. Slowing down, making sure that you're doing things correctly, not having simple oversights, and things are going to come together.
So a quote I saw, it said, excellence rarely announces itself. Most of the time it shows up in the details.
Love it. It's a perfect ending for the podcast. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. We greatly appreciate you, and make sure that you catch the next episode.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share with others. Stay connected for more genuine insights and strategies to boost your real estate career on Facebook, or check out our website. We'll see you next time.